Okay, this is it. This is it. I finally got caught up on Kengan Omega, and this is nice. I like how everything is going, and truthfully, I'm really just waiting for Oma to fight. That is literally it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like all these other fights, but I'm really just waiting for Oma to fight. Oma and Ryuki. Those were the only two that I look forward to fighting out of all of this. But this manga is dope. Right. And then they over here adding in this whole cloning thing. Because now I'm starting to question if Ryuki is who he say he is. Right? Because they just called him the Connector, the Omega. And this is dude from the Worms Corporation or organization. Right? So I'm over here thinking, what if Gao was involved with the worms, right? In some type of way, found out who they are, what they stand for, and now he's against it. And then he raised all these Tokita Nikos. Tokita Nikos in order to combat the worm, because he realized that the fighting style that he has, yes, it's good, but for the most part, it needs something else. So, make the fighting style better, but for the most part, fight the worm. Because literally, from what I'm seeing, is the connection is like, almost everybody that has something to do with Gao or the Tokitas, excuse me, the worms are always there. You've seen it in the previous manga series, and you see it in the current. So I'm assuming Gao is somehow a person who helped move them along. And then once he realized what was what, he's just like, all y'all need to die. All y'all have to go. And then there's the question of who is the head, right? Because everybody's saying that they report to the head initially, or the head of the organization. He's the one controlling everything, but the head doesn't really do well with that whole communication thing, because not even the other worm leaders even know who's all there, right? So I'm thinking either, because they don't introduce Gao. Gao trained the Nokitas, the Tokitas, Nikos, and everything. Each one of them trying to think that they're the real ones, or some of them have that complex, but for the most part, they all interact with the worms in some type of way or form. So I'm assuming either Gao helped the worms move along, or Gao is the head, right? And truly, the other thing is the sense of time on this, because it's like Gao trained them, and they ended up becoming grown, but yet he was able to train his grandson. So I'm assuming he's old, but he can still do stuff. So I'm assuming like his fighting style is going to be like on some final boss type stuff, which is why I'm hoping that he's the head of the organization, and somehow Oma and Ryuki ends up going there. And Ryuki pretty much promised, like, I gotta kill all the worms. Only to find out that his grandpa is the head of the worms. So, it's gonna turn into an all-out battle. And it's literally gonna come down to the Nico style and the Gao style to take on the person who created it. And that is literally what I'm hoping will happen. I look forward to that happening. But for the most part, Kengan Association and the Purgatory Association is pretty much 4-4. They got 5 more fights left. We all know, or I'm not gonna say we all know. It's just that the MC is on the Kengan side, and I would like to assume that the Kengan Association is pretty much gonna win. But sometimes they are like some switch ups. But we're just gonna say the Kengan Association is gonna win. Everything's gonna start crumbling down, and then we're gonna move on to another arc where you got to fight the worms directly, and I look forward to that. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. That's just a prediction, but it would be dope if it does. I'm out.
We're gonna skip one song.